What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? So, anyway, like I said, I'm gonna try to do 2 videos a week. That's what I had started doing before I got sick a few weeks back. And like I said, I'm gonna stick to the prison stories for a while, so I could try to build that following back up. I was going pretty good there for a while. But I will be doing a paranormal story here or there, um, on the side. Um, but anyway, like I said before, welcome back to my followers. If you're a new follower, don't forget to subscribe or hit like if you like my stories. Um, I tell mostly prison stories. I tell some paranormal experiences of mine that I've had growing up through my whole life. This can be another prison story. And oh, real quick, and there'll be a donation link pinned in the comments. Like I've said before, obviously it's not mandatory. Um, if you want to support my channel, just give whatever you can. $5, $10, $15. $20 if you're feeling generous. And to all the people that have donated to my channel,
No, yeah.
I just want to say I really appreciate it. And but you're all appreciated, you're all appreciated. Everybody that listens to my stories, what I'm saying. Like I said, it's not mandatory. So anyway, this story is going to be about a detainee that I've talked about in previous videos. I call them BK, stands for Black Kingpin, because he was an inmate from Florida, and he was transferred to Arizona because that's what they do with a lot of the shot callers. They want to move them away from their people, so they have less power, less influence, less dangerous. Because this inmate was very dangerous, and not because he was like a big imposing dude or anything. I explained before, he looked like, to give you an image of this guy, he looked like Lil Wayne, like almost exactly like Lil Wayne, but taller. So he was maybe like, I'd say about 5'10", 5'11", and he had a platinum grill and just tattooed from head to toe, and he was the boss of an organized crime crew, whatever you want to call it, clique, set, whatever, gang. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but anyways, I'm not going to say the name of it, but, so anyways, this dude told me that, they used to get their drugs, their supply from, they would drive down to the Texas-Mexico border, and they would meet up with the cartel that was supplying them, right? And he said it was a pretty scary thing, to deal with this cartel, because he said, man, these dudes, he goes, Diaz, he goes, I'm gonna tell you, man, these dudes look like some stone cold killers. He goes, I know I've committed, at least one murder that I've been, charged with. And then he said, I've probably ordered a couple of other hits. But he goes, these dudes, man, he said they looked like some straight up soldiers, like in military gear with AKs, M16s, grenades. Said they all had their faces covered, like with balaclavas, kind of looks like a ski mask. And then some of them just had bandanas, but they all had their faces covered, right? And then he said, they all came in big ass trucks. That's what the cartel's like, a bunch of big ass 4x4s, right? And so he said, Diaz, man, he said, we always had guns, of course. What's up? That's the work we do. We're gangsters, or whatever you want to call us, organized crime. So we always had guns, but he said we were outgunned bad. Like I said, man, they all had like military weapons and shit. I think he even said one of them had like a couple times he said one of them had like a machine gun, like a saw, or like a M60, but he said it was a big machine gun, right? So anyway, he said one of the scariest things that happened was one of the times, um, I guess it was like, I don't know. He goes, I don't know if it was really a misunderstanding, like they thought that he was shorting them the cash, or if they just did it like to send him a message, like to scare them. But he said they started yelling at them, pointing their guns at them, and called them a bunch of beachy mayatas and told them to get on the fucking ground, telling them they were gonna kill him and shit, And he said they even fired off a couple of rounds like into the ground and shit. And he said, man, he goes, I ain't asking you to feel sorry for us or anything, because the life we choose, the life we live. But he said we thought we was all gonna die, He said we thought it was it. It was time, But I guess it was just like, to scare him or something. So one of the other stories that he told me, because he told me a bunch of crazy stuff that he did. I'm looking at my notes here for anybody that's like never watched my videos, that are gonna ask, dude, are you reading from a paper? Like, no, I'm not reading from a paper, but I write notes, so in case I don't forget any important facts, of my experiences. But anyway, so he actually told me that one of the murders that he was being, I think he'd actually already been convicted of this murder, because when he was with us, he was being tried for like kidnapping and I think some like another murder or something, but he had already been convicted of one murder, and he said that he actually killed his one of his baby's mama's boyfriends. So I think he said he had like about 4 or 5 baby's mamas, So, but I guess one of the baby's mamas, he said like at first, he found out that dude was like slapping her around and like, all that, like beating her up and all this stuff. But, he said he didn't do nothing about it because he was like, she wants to stay with him, so he was like, why am I going to do anything? She wants to be with this dude, right? But then he found out that the dude was being mean to his 3-year-old son, was picking on his son, right? And I remember when I was talking to him about it, we kind of like brought up the movie Baby Boy. Like, I don't know if any of you have seen that movie. It's a really good movie. And in that movie, I'm trying to remember the actor's name. Can't remember his name, but he's the brother that's in Too Fast, Too Furious. He's in a lot of movies. I can't remember his name. Kind of dark complected dude, kind of a handsome dude. Like a lot of the ladies used to like him or something. I can't remember his name, but anyways, that guy. He's in that movie Baby Boy, and he has a baby with this girl that they fight a lot, and they're kind of together, but they're not together. Like they break up and stuff. But anyways, her boyfriend gets out of prison, and Snoop Dogg plays part of her boyfriend, and so he kind of like forces his way into her apartment. Like, she doesn't really want him there, but he kind of pushes his way in there and then refuses to leave, right? So he does this during a time when her and what's his name are not together, right? So he's being mean to what's his name's son. So it kind of reminded me of that, and he kind of laughed. He was like, "Yeah, it was pretty much that same situation, right?" So, anyways, he said to him and like a couple of his boys, like from his crew, they started, finding out like, where does this dude kick it? Who's he? Where does he go? Who's he hang out with and stuff? And so they basically kind of tracked him down one day, right? And he said they waited, obviously till the right situation to where they could get him, right? So he said, I didn't want to just kill this fool. I wanted to let him know why. I wanted to beat him down first and let him know why, right? So he said they followed him until like, I think it was like kind of like an area where it's kind of like an industrial area or something where there wasn't a lot of other traffic. So he said they were in a Charger, so they were in a pretty fast car. And he said they passed him and they cut him off, and they jumped out of the car, and they pulled him out of the car at gunpoint. And he said they beat the shit out of dude, and told him why. Basically like you like picking on 3-year-old kids, motherfucker, that's my son, you know, this and that, I'm so-and-so's baby daddy, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I guess they beat his ass, said they stuffed him in the trunk of his car, and then they said they drove out, you know, to the sticks, like the middle of nowhere, because this is Florida, so I'm sure there's a lot of areas like that, right? And he said, man, we threw this fool in the swamp, like, so the damn alligators could eat his ass, you know? So they threw homeboy in the swamp dead. And, or, I mean, hopefully he was dead already. Hopefully they didn't throw him in there just bleeding. But he said they threw him in the swamp. And then I guess, like, a few days later they found him. And I guess he was, like, kind of chewed up. Like, some gators had been chewing on him and stuff. So that's one of the crazy things he told me he did. And then another crazy thing that he told me about, that, you know, obviously most of the stuff he told me about was like pretty bad, you know, and I'm like, damn, like, you're a fucked up dude, you know, but this was one of the worst things, in my opinion, that he told me that he did. And, basically, like, when he was in Florida, still at one of the facilities over there, he said it was a female case manager that, you know, he said she was, like, supposedly, like, always ignored him and, like, denied his requests for whatever reason. And I think it might have been because they didn't really want him having any visitors because of his high-profile situation. Like, they were trying to limit his contact. But you can't really tell somebody that sometimes. Like, they're not going to listen. They're just going to be like, fuck that, you know. Like, you're denying all my visits, then, you know, fuck you. So basically that's what happened. He said his case manager, or maybe she was a unit manager, I don't remember, but counselor basically, kept denying all his visits, like, and saying that he was, like, wasn't allowed to have any visits, you know, and stuff because of his, you know, his status, you know. High profile and security threat or whatever. So and he said she was very attractive, real pretty, white chick, right? So this motherfucker, what he did was he waited. He kind of baited her one day. He's talking to her because he's talking to her through a food trap because he was always on lockdown because he was considered high custody, you know, assaultive and everything. So he was talking to her and he got her to kind of like bend down to look through the food trap while he was talking to her, and this motherfucker reached out. He had made they make these little cutters out of the little toothbrushes that are only about this long. They melt the edge and they take the razor blades from the shavers, and you know most of them shavers nowadays have like at least 3 blades, right? So they'll put all 3 blades next to each other, and then it makes a little tiny weapon, right? So what he did is he reached out and he slashed her face, like across her cheek, with the razor blade, and it made a pretty big cut, you know, because it's 3 blades, right? And yeah, so he was saying, yeah, you know, that she was pretty before, but he was saying that bitch ain't that pretty now, you know. It's like, damn, that's fucked up, bro. But you know, a lot of these dudes just they want to tell their stories, I guess, you know, like. A lot of them know they're fucked up or, you know, they're not good people or whatever, but a lot of them just want to tell their stories, you know, and most of the time they only tell it to COs that they trust, that they're comfortable with. Like, obviously they're not just going to tell these stories to just anybody, you know what I mean? So, like I've said before, like I worked a lot of high custody, you know, a lot of lockdown. I worked a lot of GP too, but towards the end of my time at the prisons, like, but that's mostly what I worked with was like all the high custodies and the lockdowns and stuff. So a lot of them knew me really well and like respected me and trusted me. So they would tell me all their like crazy, you know, stories, their most fucked up things they did, you know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but hey, at least it gives me stories to tell, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I don't know if I have any more stories about BK. If I think of any, I'll tell them in a future video. But for now, you know, that's another one of my prison stories. Hope you guys liked it, even though it was fucked up, you know. So anyway, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already. And till my next video, your big homie Cisco. Peace.